There is no better player to be at the point guard position for the Miami Heat, personality wise, than Terry Rozier. He fits that city. He fits Pat Riley and he fits Jimmy Butler perfectly, I think. Um, so much so that, and I know we didn't even get fully into our topics yet. So much so that I think that it may behoove Miami. And I was thinking about this yesterday, right? Especially when I was going through the stats and I saw that Tyler Hero finally came back and he's always hurt. They maybe should keep bringing him off the bench. Maybe. Because in that starting five for the Heat, you have Bam, you have Jimmy, you have Terry Rozier, you have Duncan Robinson to spread the floor for everybody. And at the four, who did they have at the four starting yesterday?
Was it
Uh
what was it the Nikola Jovic kid?
yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm.
He was at the four.
Hmm.
So coming off the bench, you had Kevin Love, you had Tyler Hero, you have Thomas Bryant. I think he got a DNP yesterday or the
Right.
day, but Thomas Bryant, that's three guns.
Did you
You
did you mention Kevin Love?
yep, I mentioned Kevin Love first.
Okay.
Um, who else do they have? They got that kid Hightower. They got the kid from UCLA who's been a revelation.
Jamie Jaime Jaquez.
Yes.
Hmm.
They have an incredible bench coming in to relieve the starters. And then you have the brain, the basketball intelligence, expertise, and just IQ of Spolstra putting all of that together. The Heat now, with Tyler Hero coming back or being back, the Heat may be more of a problem if they make it out of that play-in than they were last season, especially if Tyler Hero was coming off that bench.
Listen,
And
I'm
just
sorry.
something where a player who fits like the city's mentality, the whole organization's mentality, like Terry, that changes things. What happens if they match up against the Bucks again? It might be the same outcome, even with the healthy Giannis for the first, two games of the series. I think he missed two games last season, right? In that first round series.
Hmm.
There's nobody to be slept on. And playoff Jimmy is a real thing.
Listen, I'll tell you the same thing I said last year about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was basically punking people and he was taking their lunch money. He did it to the Bucks in the first round. He did it to the Knicks in the second round, and then he did it to the Celtics in the conference finals. You know, for me with Miami, first and foremost, I don't think that Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley get the credit that they deserve because you go back about a decade ago when they were winning championships, and everybody just tried to gloss over Eric Spoelstra like he was a water boy because you had LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. But you figure Miami missed the playoffs that first year after LeBron left because a lot of people were hurt. But
Yeah.
they were a playoff team and they've been a playoff team consistently since then. And I think there wasn't a better team, with the exception of when Jimmy Butler played with the Bulls under Thibodeau,
Mm-hmm.
where Jimmy Butler fit because Jimmy Butler didn't fit in Minnesota just due to the
Oh,
fact that they wanted him to be the third guy, between behind Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns. That wasn't going to work. And it was the same thing when he went to Philly. They wanted him to be the third guy behind Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And of course, Philly picked the wrong guy. They chose Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler. Where would that
and what
be?
call it? And Tobias Harris.
Right,
Didn't they? Yeah,
right,
that was part
right,
of the
right,
decision making too, getting
right.
Tobias Harris more money.
Right. Okay. And like Jimmy left and he went to Miami. You figure, you know, those Marquette guys, especially those Marquette guys that played for Buzz Williams, they were cut a little bit different. Okay. And Jimmy came into the league with a chip on his shoulder. And then you figure, you know, if you went to Marquette after Dwayne Wade went there, Dwayne Wade is like a god to you. So,
Mhm.
Dwayne Wade is hands down the best player in Heat history. Nobody's ever going to dispute that,
Yep.
right now. So, all Dwayne Wade's got to do is talk to Jimmy Butler. I'm like, hey, listen, you come down here. This dude fits Miami's system under Pat Riley like a glove because, for all of the Armani wear and stuff like that, a lot of cats don't remember. Pat Riley was a tough, grizzled, defensive-minded guy.
Yep.
They think about the Showtime Lakers of the '80s or whatever
They
like that.
forget all about the Knicks era
Exactly.
and the
Okay.
Miami era
E-
with Zoe and Tim Hardaway.
Exactly. So, Pat Riley's a tough-minded guy. And, Jimmy Butler fits that mold. And if you look at that team last year, it wasn't pretty. There was a whole bunch of greasy cats out there that were just going out there and playing. And it was the same thing that they did when they got to the bubble. To me, some teams are just built for the playoffs. And I think that's Miami right now. They're just a team that's built for the playoffs. And to your point, if they're in that play-in, they could be scary again, regardless, if they're in that play-in or not. They're a team that a lot of teams don't want to face. And I mean, you look at Milwaukee, Milwaukee's having a lot of issues right now.
A
And
lot.
honestly, Milwaukee, for my money, hasn't been right since they fired Mike Budenholzer last year because I thought the move was a panic move
It was.
because you figure you didn't have a healthy Giannis last year in the playoffs, just like the year before. They probably would have gotten back to the finals had Middleton not gotten hurt with
Exactly.
the knee injury. So now you fire, Coach Bud, as they call him in Milwaukee. You bring in Adrian Griffin, but then you fire him after 43 games. So
30
that
and 13. The
right.
man was 30 and 13.
So that tells me that you didn't do your due diligence on this guy if basically his style of defense was clashing with what your best players are comfortable with. That right there to me falls on the front office. That's number one. You then sacrifice your defense further by getting rid of Drew Holiday for Dame because Dame ain't gonna play D like Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday is a legit point guard. Right now, we've got too many guys who are listed as point guards that are not point guards.
That
Drew
combo.
Holiday, right? Drew Holiday is a point guard. He's a ball
Yep.
handler. He's a facilitator. And if you remember, that team changed once they got Drew Holiday. They
Yeah,
became a championship after that. Okay,
because he was the defensive point of attack.
right,
He was one.
right.
What's Lopez was not known as
No.
no defender until Drew got there, and then he was up for defensive player of the year all of a
And
sudden.
and then on that championship team too, they had PJ Tucker as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Something that flies under the radar. So you push the panic button, and typically when we see a team fire a head coach midseason like the Bucks did, usually it's to bring like you promote an assistant coach, somebody within that system. Now you're going out of the system and bringing in a brand new coach in Doc Rivers. Doc, okay, you can say what you want. A lot of people are going to pile on Doc as far as his shortcomings in the playoffs, and there's a lot of them. But
hmm
for me, it's one of those where you're doing a disservice to everybody, head coach and players included, because Doc needs an off season,
true.
okay, to implement his system to get a feel of his players, vice versa. They're trying to do this on the fly, and it's not working out right now because you figure right now the Bucks have lost five of their last six. Their last three losses have been to three of the worst teams in the NBA. They just lost to Toronto last night at home, a Toronto team that had lost their previous 15. They lost to Memphis and they lost to Washington. So, and let's not forget, they lost to the Lakers without LeBron.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so
They
it's
can't
so it's
get
one.
out of the lane. They can't keep anybody from getting
No,
in the lane and wreaking havoc.
no, and it's like you they got too much size in that team, but everybody is offensive oriented. It's like Giannis has a potential to be a solid defender with his length. They're not utilizing that because unfortunately in this era, everybody all we focus on is offensive
Mm,
that. Thank you, analytics. And you
yep.
look at Brook Lopez. You think about Brook Lopez's career when he first came into the league with the Nets. Brook Lopez was a back to the basket guy, but of course the analytics have changed him, and now he's just become a glorified small forward.
Yeah.
But it's one of those they're not playing to their strengths, and I think you have a combination of that as well as a head coach who consistently comes up short in the
Yep.
postseason. I think Milwaukee's about to get their feelings hurt once again.